I inherited my father's shop the week after we buried him. Didn't feel like a gift. Felt like a warning. He died alone in the back room, slumped over the old red tool chest he'd owned since high school. Town doctor said heart attack, but something in me never settled about it. Not then. Not now. I'm George. I run a bar off Route 14. Been doing it 15 years. It's the kind of place where working men blow off steam and women come to forget their husbands for a while. My old man ran the mechanic shop out back. Same building, just a wall between pistons and whiskey. Growing up, I spent every summer in that garage. Learned to bleed brakes and pull engines before I learned to shave. My boy, Evan, he's the same way. Kid was out there by 10, elbow deep in grease with a grin on his face. My father used to say, he's got the hands for it, and the heart. He was proud of Evan. Hell, he was proud of me too, though he showed it more in silence than words. That was his way. Old school. Stoic. Like a wrench left out in the rain. Worn down, but still holding tight. When he passed, everything came to me. The bar, the garage, the debt, the memories. And Lena, my wife, she didn't seem too sad about any of it. Said the shop was a money pit. Said I should lease it, or sell it, or just move on. But Evan begged me not to. He said it felt like Grandpa was still in there. So I told him we'd keep it, together. Thing is, Lena never liked that shop. And she hated my father. Smiled to his face, sure. But she didn't fool him. He once told me, years back, son, there's something in her that don't sit right. Watch her 6. I didn't listen. I figured he just didn't understand her. I was wrong. Back then, I thought the worst part of my life was behind me. My old man was gone, but I had a business, a good kid, and a woman I still believed in. I thought hard times were over. But sometimes the ground's soft because something's rotting underneath it. And I was about to step right in it. I didn't know it yet, but Lena had plans. So did Cal, a guy I used to call my best friend. Plans to take everything my father built and bury me right next to him. It was a Friday night, late summer. One of those nights where the air hangs thick and tempers flare easy. The regulars were in, couple bikers, a group of ranch hands, the usual noise and booze. I was behind the bar, wiping down glasses, trying not to think about the shop bills piling up or Lena's cold shoulder at home. She hadn't touched me in over a month. Said she was tired. Said I smelled like oil and bourbon. Meanwhile, she started dressing different. Yoga pants that hugged like paint, tank tops cut low. Said it was for the gym. But I never saw a drop of sweat on her. Then there was Cal. He used to be my right hand. Helped out around the bar, filled in at the shop when we were backed up. Our sons grew up together. But lately, he'd been showing up when I wasn't around. Lena said he was checking in, helping her manage things. Funny, I never asked him to. That night, Cal came in late. Lena was with him. She sat at the bar like she owned it, legs crossed, laughing too loud. He leaned in close, whispering in her ear, hand on her lower back like it belonged there. I caught the look she gave him, that smirk women get when they want to be caught. I didn't say anything, just watched. Counted the seconds in my head like I used to in high school fights. 1, 2, 3. Then he walked in. Scruffy guy, mid-30s, reeking of cheap beer and stale smoke. I'd seen him around. Hung out behind the liquor store, always owed someone money. He ordered a shot and a beer, slammed them back, and started running his mouth. Loud. Real loud. About me. About the shop. About how I screwed people for a living. Said my bar was a front. Said I was a washed-up drunk living off his daddy's name. That kind of talk usually gets you tossed. But something was off. He didn't look drunk. He looked sent in. And when I glanced over at Cal, he wasn't surprised. Neither was Lena. She just sipped her drink and looked the other way. Then the guy threw his glass. Shattered it against the wall behind me. I moved fast, like instinct. Came around the bar, told him to leave. He shoved me. I shoved back. Next thing I know, he's on the floor, bleeding from his mouth, claiming I broke his jaw. 2 of his teeth on the tile. Cops showed up 10 minutes later like they'd been waiting nearby. Handcuffs. Questions. Cell phone videos. All from one angle. All showing me losing my temper. I tried to explain. Tried to tell them he started it. But they already had statements from witnesses, Cal included. Lena? She didn't say a word. Just stared at me like I was a stranger. They charged me with aggravated assault. Said the guy was a known addict. But that didn't matter. He had a busted jaw and a crooked lawyer. The bail hearing was a joke. Lena didn't show. Cal did. Sat in the back and watched. I should have seen it sooner. The way Cal looked at her. The way Lena walked around the house like she was already single. This wasn't just bad luck. This was planned. In the holding cell, I replayed the night over and over. The fight. The setup. The silence from my so-called wife. That's when it clicked. The guy I hid owed money. A lot of it. I'd heard whispers. And who always lent cash under the table around here. Cal. He didn't just help frame me. He bought the guy. Also, he could take my shop, take my bar, take my wife. Hell, maybe even my son if he could twist things right. But I wasn't done yet. They forgot who raised me, who taught me to keep my mouth shut, watch the room, and bide my time. They forgot I was my father's son. County jail smells like bleach, sweat, and regret. You get used to it faster than you think. First week inside, I didn't talk much. Just listened. Guys who bragged about crimes they didn't commit, others who didn't talk at all. I kept to myself, stuck to a routine. Push-ups in the morning, books in the afternoon, lights out when they said so. The food was garbage. The air was worse. But none of that hit me like the silence from home. Evan didn't write. Lena didn't visit. Cal sure as hell didn't send any help. It was like I'd been deleted from my own life. One night, I couldn't sleep. Just lay on my bunk, staring at the concrete above me, hands behind my head. That's when my old man's voice came back to me. If something don't feel right, son, don't fight it blind. Step back. Think. They want you to swing wild. That's when they win. He used to say that in the garage, when I'd round off a bolt from rushing or get burned grabbing hot metal. Slow is smooth. Smooth is smart. That voice steadied me. So I stopped reacting and started paying attention. The guards talked. The inmates gossiped. I pieced together news from scraps. Lena was still in town. Running the books at the shop now. That's how she phrased it. Running the books. She never lifted a wrench in her life. Cal was hanging around more. Pulling up in my old truck like he owned it. They were seen together. Too close. At the bar. At the diner. A weekend trip out to the lake. People whispered, but small towns forget fast if you pour drinks cheap and fake a smile. Then I heard she was selling tools from the garage. Claimed we needed the money for bills. That stung. Those tools had my father's initials burned into the handles. Some of them were older than I was. And then came the letter from my cousin Ray. Small town guy. Worked part-time at the DMV, saw things. Slipped me a message through one of the guards he knew. She drained the college fund. The one you set up for Evan. Almost clean. Said she'd pay it back. Said she'd take care of it herself. Kid doesn't know yet. I sat on my bunk with that note in my hands, feeling like my ribs were cracked. That account was something my dad started when Evan was born. I'd added to it every month. Quietly. Never even told Lena how much was in there. Now it was gone. I pictured Evan opening that letter one day, thinking his old man had failed him. Not knowing it was her, not me. But I didn't rage. Didn't scream. I folded the note and tucked it inside the copy of Mice and Men they gave me when I came in. Kept it there like a trigger I wasn't ready to pull. Instead, I started planning. There was an older guy in the next cell. Name was Webb. Former accountant. White-collar case. Smart as hell. Got him talking. Started asking quiet questions about loans, deeds, power of attorney, forged signatures. Took notes in my head. Meanwhile, Lena was getting comfortable. Too comfortable. She'd stopped hiding the thing with Cal. People said they'd been spotted kissing behind the bar. Cal wearing my old leather jacket. Lena with her hand in his back pocket. Someone overheard her calling him babe. And Evan? Still no word. But I had a feeling he was watching. Listening. Waiting like me. My old man once told me, you don't need to be loud to be dangerous. You just need to be ready. And I was getting ready. Evan never said much, even as a kid. He was the kind who paid attention with his eyes, not his mouth. When my father taught him how to use a torque wrench, Evan didn't ask questions. He just watched, memorized, and did it right. So when I went inside, and Lena started spinning her story, Evan didn't argue. He just listened. She told him I snapped. That I beat some man half to death for no reason. That the bar was going under, and she had to take charge, for the good of the family. She even cried a few times, just enough to look believable. And Evan? He didn't call her out. Didn't ask where I was sleeping. He just nodded and left the room. But he noticed the changes. How Cal started coming around too much. Fixing things that didn't need fixing. Drinking coffee from my mug. Watching football in my chair. How Lena laughed at all his dumb jokes and started wearing perfume again, the same one she used when we were first dating. One night, Evan heard them in the hallway. Thought they were arguing. Then the sound changed, soft giggles, lip smacking, Cal whispering something about doing it on the counter. The next morning, Evan saw Cal's boots under the kitchen table, his work shirt on the back of the chair. My wife, Evan's mother, humming while she made 2 omelets. That's when the lights came on for the boy. He didn't say a word. Just started spending more time at the garage. Oil under his nails. Eyes colder than they used to be. She tried to reel him in. Said she was doing all this for him. That she was paying for college herself. That I'd hidden money, and she was just making things right. He asked if she had proof. She changed the subject. A week later, she caught him in the office, going through my father's old ledger. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Learning," he said. That scared her. She tried to ban him from the shop after that. Told him he needed to focus on school, not dead men's dreams. He didn't fight. Just started working on cars in the neighbor's driveway instead. People in town started noticing. Evan covered in grease, walking home with busted knuckles and calluses. Cal in my truck, Lena in tight dresses, her lips too red for a widow. One old mechanic, Jerry, used to work with my dad, pulled Evan aside. "You all right, kid?" Evan nodded. "You know your granddad wouldn't be proud of what's happening in there." "I know," Evan said, "but I think he left me a way to fix it." "And Jerry?" He gave the boy a look and said, "Good. I was hoping someone in that bloodline still had some guts. They let me out 13 months in. Good behavior. First offense. No warning call, no welcome home. Just a bag of my clothes, a bus ticket, and a half-hearted take care, Briggs from a guard who never learned my first name. I didn't go home. Didn't even drive past it. Instead, I checked into a small motel on the edge of town under a fake name I used to use when I was 20 and stupid. Paid cash. Room smelled like cigarettes and mildew, but the bed was soft and the door locked. First night out, I sat on the edge of the mattress and stared at my hands. Still rough. Still calloused. Still mine. Next morning, I made a list. Didn't start with revenge. Started with facts. Because facts don't lie. People do. First stop, my old friend Marty, runs a pawn shop off Main. He used to work in my father's garage before his knees gave out. He kept records of every tool that came through, what he bought, who sold it, when. I walked in quiet. Marty looked up like he'd seen a ghost. "George," he said. "You back?" "Yeah." He nodded slow, then reached under the counter and pulled out a box. Inside were 6 of my father's wrenches, his name burned into the wood handles. "Didn't want to sell, Marty said. But your wife said you approved it. Said you needed the money for bail." I didn't say a word. Just picked up one of the tools and turned it over in my hand. She came in with Cal. He did the talking. She just stood there with her arms crossed like she already owned the place. I left the box. Told Marty to hang on to it a little longer, evidence. Next, I met with Rob Temple. Used to be a bartender for me back in the day. Now he's in real estate law. Smart guy. Quiet. Knows how to pull strings without making a mess. I slid a copy of the shop deed across the table. My father had left it in my name, separate from the bar. "She's trying to sell it," I told him. Rob looked it over. "She can't. Not legally. She's trying anyway." He nodded. "Then we make it hurt." That night, I drove past the garage. Lights were off. My name still on the sign, but the paint was faded. Tools gone. My father's old desk missing from the office. It didn't look like a place that fixed anything anymore. Just a hollow shell waiting to be gutted. I didn't go inside. I wasn't ready yet. I just sat in my truck and watched the place where my father built something real with his hands. Then I drove to the cemetery. Brought a beer. Sat next to his grave. "You were right," I said. "You always saw through her." I didn't. I cracked the beer and poured half on the grass. But I'm back now. And I'm not swinging wild. I'm going to finish this the way you'd want me to. Wind picked up. Cold for late spring. Felt good on my skin. I left the empty bottle on his headstone, just like he used to do for his old army buddies. Then I walked away, one step at a time. Not in a hurry. Because I knew Cal and Lena weren't going anywhere just yet. And I had work to do. Lena always thought I was slow. Slow to anger, slow to catch on, slow to change. She mistook patience for weakness. A lot of people do. But while she was playing house with Cal in my bed, I was sitting in the motel with a pile of papers and one hell of a quiet plan. Rob, the lawyer, found the first thread to pull. Lena had filed a refinancing request on the shop 3 months into my sentence. Signed my name. The handwriting was close, but not close enough. Wrong slant. No loop in the G. She was careless. Forged signature, Rob said. That's a felony. Good, I said. Keep going. We dug deeper. Cal had co-signed, which meant they were planning to split the equity. Sell the place cheap, flip it fast, and disappear before I got out. Maybe they figured I'd drink myself to death after jail. Or maybe they thought I'd just disappear. Instead, I started making calls. Old customers, suppliers, friends who used to play darts at the bar. I wasn't asking for pity, just info. Turns out Lena had already tried to sell the garage equipment to some guy in Fairview, a guy who used to buy up closing businesses for parts. But he backed off. Said Evan showed up in person, said the shop wasn't hers to sell. That's my boy. Next move. Rob filed an injunction. Legal block. Meant Lena couldn't sell, lease, or touch a damn thing without my signature. We mailed her the notice, certified. I pictured her opening the envelope at the kitchen table, coffee in hand, wearing her smug little robe. I hoped it ruined her morning. A week later, Cal tried to confront Rob in the parking lot of his office. Made threats. Got in his face. Bad move. Rob had a dashcam. And a sheriff's brother-in-law. Cal got picked up for harassment, posted bail with someone else's check, and kept his mouth shut after that. Then came the twist I wasn't ready for. Rob's assistant, Morgan, found something odd in the town archive. A gas station that had gone belly up 2 years ago. Same story. Owner got into legal trouble. Property sold for cheap. Buyer? A dummy corporation Cal created. Flipped to a developer. Then a small grocery a year before that. Same pattern. Same result. Guess who had worked at both places, doing bookkeeping, while the owners spiraled? Lena. Suddenly, my father's death didn't look like bad luck anymore. He'd told me, weeks before his heart gave out, that something was off. That Lena had been sniffing around the shop finances. That Cal had offered to help out, with repairs he never asked for. I might be next, he joked. I hadn't laughed. Now I wondered if it wasn't a joke. Maybe they didn't kill him directly, but pressure, stress, sabotage? It can push a heart too far. And once he was gone, I was next in line. They didn't just want me gone. They wanted the whole damn legacy buried. But they made one mistake. They left my son standing. And me? They let me walk out of jail still breathing. I waited until Saturday morning. Not because I was sentimental. Because Saturday morning was when the shop got the most foot traffic. Customers, neighbors, looky-loose, folks dropping off their trucks or coming by for coffee and gossip. I wanted an audience. Evan was already there. Said he'd started opening up on weekends by himself. Fixing what tools were left. Helping out Jerry, the retired mechanic, who'd come by to lend a hand for free. They were trying to keep the place alive, like stitching up a wound no one else could see. I walked in through the side door. Nobody saw me at first. But when Evan looked up and saw me standing there, worn jeans, a shop rag in my back pocket, grease on my hands like I'd never left, he froze. Then his mouth curled into something halfway between a smile and a gut punch. You back? I'm back. He wiped his hands, nodded once, then said, she's gonna lose her mind. Let her. It didn't take long. Lena pulled up in my truck, with Cal in the passenger seat wearing aviators like he was somebody. She saw me standing by the shop door and slammed the brakes so hard the tires screeched. What the hell are you doing here? She snapped, marching up like she still had power. Checking on my property. This is trespassing. You can't. Actually, I said, pulling a folded copy of the injunction from my back pocket. I can. Cal stepped in then, puffing up. Tried to put his hand on my chest. Evan moved first, grabbed Cal's wrist midair, firm grip, eyes hard. Touch him again, Evan said, voice like dry steel, and I'll drop you where you stand. Cal blinked. Backed off. Lena's face twitched. She turned to Evan. Sweetheart, he's confusing you. No, Evan cut in. You did that. Dead silence. She tried to recover. We're trying to keep things afloat. Your father. My father built this, he said, motioning to the shop. You're just stripping it for parts. People were starting to notice. Jerry stood by the back bay, arms crossed. A few customers outside had stopped mid-conversation. Word spreads fast in a small town. And this was the kind of drama people feel. I walked past her, into the shop office, and shut the door behind me. There was a photo still hanging above the desk. Me, my father, Evan, standing in front of a rebuilt engine. I stared at it a long time, then opened the drawer beneath. It was empty. She'd taken the ledgers, the keys, the documents. But she left the photo. That was her mistake. When I walked back out, Lena and Cal were gone. Peeled off in my truck, tires spinning, throwing gravel like kids in a tantrum. Later that day, Rob filed the first set of charges: fraud, forgery, attempted theft of business assets. And Evan? He told his college advisor he was deferring enrollment for a year. "I've got work to do," he said. "Here, with my old man." And just like that, the fire was lit. I wasn't out for blood. I was out for truth. And I was going to burn every lie down to the concrete. It started with a knock. Two uniformed officers at Lena's door, calm voices and clipboards in hand. She answered in yoga pants and a robe, still pretending to be someone she wasn't. They handed her the paperwork, formal notice of investigation, list of charges pending. She laughed at first. Then she saw my name at the top. Cal didn't take it so well. Next day, he stormed into Rob's office like a cornered dog. Claimed we were making things up, said the signatures weren't fake, said Lena had power of attorney. Rob just smiled and showed him the court document proving otherwise. "You really should read what you signed, Cal," he said. Phil tried to swing on him. Big mistake. Two deputies were waiting in the hall. That's when things started unraveling fast. Turns out Lena and Cal had pulled their little con game before, but never on someone who fought back. Never on someone who'd built every inch of his life with his own hands and refused to stay quiet. Between the pawn shop receipts, the forged paperwork, and the recorded harassment, the DA didn't have to look far. He saw which way the wind was blowing and finally decided to stop protecting the town's favorite scumbag. Funny how quick a man will flip when he realizes he might go down with the rest. And the best part? Evan had found my father's original ledger, tucked in a hidden drawer behind the tool cabinet. Every transaction, every check, every name. Including one showing that Cal had taken a cash loan from my father just 3 weeks before he died, one he never paid back. And in the margins? My father's handwriting. "Cal's asking too many questions about the deed. Says he wants to lighten my load." Could be nothing. Could be something. That line felt like a shovel to the gut. I'd known. Deep down, I'd always known. We submitted everything. Police took it seriously now. Not just fraud. We were talking about elder exploitation. Manslaughter? Maybe not provable. But the pressure was on. They brought Lena in for questioning the following week. She tried to charm them. Blamed Cal. Said she was misled. Said she was managing things under stress. Then she turned on the tears. But the officers had already seen the text we pulled off an old burner phone Cal left behind at the shop. Dumb bastard never wiped it. Messages like, "Once he's out of the way, we'll flip it fast. He's just like his old man, slow. Drain the fund first. Say it's for college." And from Lena, "He'll never know. He trusts me too much." Cold. Straight poison. On record. At that point, it wasn't if, it was when. And while they were lawyering up, we were rebuilding. The shop was back in motion. Evan hired 2 of his buddies from trade school. Jerry oversaw repairs. I paid out of my savings, what was left, and poured the rest into new lifts, fresh paint, honest work. Word got out. People started coming back. Men who'd known my father. Women who remembered bringing their first car into him. They came not just for service, but to say, "We're glad you're back." And Evan? He was smiling again. Grease under his nails, wrench in hand, talking like a man with purpose. "They tried to kill it," he said once, patting the garage wall. "But you can't bury something this real." He was right. We weren't just fixing engines. We were fixing our name. Courtrooms aren't like TV. No dramatic music. No slamming fists. Just hard chairs, cheap carpet, and the sound of your whole life being sorted into evidence tabs and exhibit numbers. I sat in the front row. Evan behind me. Rob on my left, calm as ever. Lena and Cal came in together, dressed like churchgoers. He wore a suit 2 sizes too tight. She wore white. Like that could bleach away what they'd done. Their lawyer tried to drag it out. Said the refinance was a misunderstanding. Said I abandoned the family by getting arrested. Said Lena was doing her best with a troubled husband and shifting financial burdens. Cal just stared straight ahead like he didn't exist. Then Rob stood up. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't throw punches. He just laid out facts, one after another like hammers on nails. The forged signature on the refinancing. The cash sales of my father's tools. The sale agreements written up for the garage without my name on them. The texts pulled from Cal's burner phone. The testimony from Marty at the pawn shop, Jerry at the garage, and Evan. My son was the last to take the stand. He didn't cry, didn't shake, just told the truth. My dad taught me everything I know. My grandpa, too. They built something real. And they tried to steal it, not because they needed it, but because they thought they could get away with it. He looked right at Lena when he said it. The jury didn't take long. Lena was convicted on multiple counts: fraud, conspiracy to commit theft, forgery. The DA dropped the elder exploitation charge in exchange for her full confession. She tried to pin it all on Cal, claimed she was emotionally manipulated, claimed she didn't know what she was doing. But the texts didn't lie. Cal got the worst of it. Wire fraud, obstruction, threatening a witness. He tried to cut a deal at the last minute, throw Lena under the bus, give up other scams, but no one was listening anymore. Even his lawyers seemed tired of him. The judge looked at them both and said something I'll never forget. You didn't just steal money. You tried to erase a legacy. And the court won't forget that. Sentencing was fast. Cal got 12 years. Lena got 7, with parole only after 5. No one cried. No one clapped. Just the sound of footsteps and shackles and the low murmur of a town watching justice finally hit home. Afterward, I stepped out into the sunlight. Same streets, same breeze, but everything felt sharper, cleaner. Evan stood next to me, arms crossed. That it? I shook my head. Not even close. Because we weren't just done with them. We were just getting started with us. The garage was never fancy. Cement floor, metal siding, tools lined up like soldiers. But it was ours again. Honest. Solid. Not just a business, a bloodline rebuilt from ashes. Evan worked sun up to sundown, even on Sundays. Hired 2 more techs, both local boys who used to ride bikes past our shop when they were kids. We updated the office, replaced the lifts, painted the sign out front. Briggs & Son Garage. People smiled when they saw it. The bar? Still standing. Still mine. A little quieter now. A little cleaner. I kept it open 5 nights a week. Beer, pool, and no more fights. Folks respected the place more. Maybe they respected me more. The town changed, too. They started showing up, not just for oil changes, but to say thank you. One by one. Ranchers. Retirees. Even a few folks who once whispered behind our backs. Glad you're back, George. He'd be proud of you. I never trusted that bastard anyway. We didn't brag. We didn't gloat. We just worked. And Lena? She tried writing from inside. Sent Evan a letter. Said she was sorry. Said she was sick. That she wanted to rebuild a relationship one day. He burned it. Didn't even flinch. Cal didn't write. Didn't dare. We never visited. We didn't need to. We had better things to do, like finishing the work my father started. Sometimes, when I close up the bar, I walk to the shop next door, lean against the frame, and watch Evan turn a wrench just like his grandfather did. Same posture. Same focus. And I hear my old man's voice like gravel in my ear. You kept it alive, boy. You did good. We don't always get justice in this life. But every now and then, if you keep your head down, do the work, and swing only when it counts, you get a clean shot. And when you land it, it echoes.